She's a conservative and I'm liberal. And yet we've been friends for almost 40 years. Everyone says you shouldn't talk about politics, religion, or money. And we say that's exactly what friends should be talking about. Hello, Jolene.
Hello, Nicole.
So we're going to do a couple things before we do our topic about women and what's it like to be a woman and your experiences and all of that. We got an email. I love your show, but I just listened to the Mondami episode, and for the first time, I was appalled to hear Jolene say she has now jumped on the Trump train because of how much he, as in Trump, has accomplished. As far as the big bill, which Jolene said is not a bill, but the law, what about all the laws that Trump is breaking against our Constitution? And yes, the border crossings are zero because no one wants to come to this country right now. And I would like to remind all the immigrant haters to look at your own ancestry and see how many generations ago your families were welcome to this country. None of us are from here except American Indians. And it took Trump a week to go visit the Texas floods. I don't want to be confrontational because I believe and practice putting differences aside, but occasionally I get shocked.
Whether you're criticizing something that we've said or you don't agree with it or you're trying to clarify something, we want to hear that feedback. Because number one, it lets us hear that people are interested in what we're saying. So let me address a couple of things. As far as being an immigrant hater, I think that America is the greatest nation in the world, and that's why so many people want to come here. And I don't hate the immigrants. I don't like when people come here illegally. And it's really messing up the system for those who are doing it legally. So I really want to clarify, and I think that's something that Republicans get a lot of hate for, is that, we want all the immigrants out of here, just us. And we want a border and we keep everybody in and we don't want anybody else to come in. And that's simply not the case. We want the immigration system to work, and it's broken. And I think we both agree, correct me if I'm wrong, Nicole, we both agree that the system needs to be fixed.
Yes, we've talked about it. We talked about it in our last episode, about everything being politicized. We talked about it in the immigration episode. We talk about this a lot.
It's not that we're immigrant haters, and by we, I mean Republicans. We need immigrants. We need them to do it the right way. But it's the bad actors, it's the ones who have committed crimes, the ones who have criminal records that were bad actors in their home countries, and now they've come to ours. No, we don't need them. We don't need them on the streets. We don't need them here. We don't need them starting gangs here. I applaud President Trump for putting a stop to the border crossings so our judicial system can get their heads above water to process the immigrant population. As far as the president visiting Texas and those horrible floods, no matter who the president is, I don't care if it's Republican, Democrat, I get when your senators or your governor goes and looks at the ravaged areas, I absolutely support that. But when you've got a president who does it, it's a media show at that point. There is nothing, like President Trump had already declared Texas and Central Texas and the Hill Country a disaster area, which initiated the funds, federal funds to and all the resources that provides. But when you take a look at when a president visits anytime, anywhere, but especially in an area that has been hit by floods or fire, or tornadoes or whatever, this huge entourage is going to disrupt the people that are still trying to do the work. And in Texas, they're still on a recovery mission for people that are missing. So the fact that a president comes in with all the media, with all the security, with, all of the people that come with him, I think it disrupts the operation. So I do not criticize whether it was Biden in North Carolina with their floods or Trump with this. I stay out. Just have the president stay out. You've already done your part. Now it's just a show.
I thought that was an interesting take, in that when I read your response to her, that made sense to me, actually. I never thought of it that way. When there are disasters, we collectively can feel very scared and very hopeless or out of control. And I think we will then look to our leaders to comfort us. There's been so much precedent that then the president goes and does this, and he does it immediately. And I think that you could have a point about that, give the money, give the help,
right?
But get out of the way, because there is a spectacle. It is disruptive. So I never thought of it that way, and I appreciate that you shared that. And thank you for writing and, again, telling us what's resonating for you and what's you're challenged by. Because, for what it's worth, Jolene and I, every time we do this, we're so excited to see each other and to be with our friend. And it's also really hard. Whether there's a lot of preparation or not a lot of preparation, and we're trying to communicate with each other and honor each other's experience. And we live in this time where everyone, as we've said in many episodes, it's a gotcha culture.
Yep.
And so we, even though we don't in our own friendship, that is always in your head to try and not be that way here.
Yep.
It's a conscious thing. So on that note, I want to share another cool thing. This was on YouTube, but last week with our Mom Donnie episode, we got a lot of comments. People are very charged up. It doesn't matter if you're right or left or independent. It doesn't matter. This guy and this movement has stirred up the pot, and people have excitement and fear and all the things. So this man had written us, and he wrote a very long reaction to our episode. Don't we have Google? How do you not know what socialism is? And he had a lot of facts, but he was also very angry. And I will say, I didn't write this down, but my back got up when I first read it. Because I thought to myself, seriously? We're trying to do this thing. So he wrote this long thing, and then he shared this video on the history of socialism. And he said, please look at it. Well, somehow my alerts aren't great on YouTube, so I have to constantly check and see who's commenting and whatever. So I wrote this very calm, thank you for checking out our podcast and sharing our views. We're trying to create a community where people can share their ideas. Take care. And that was it. Didn't think anything about it. End of story. Yesterday, so it was 5 days later, I see that, oh my gosh, he wrote me back. And he says, thanks for the response and my apologies for the exasperated tone. Please, please, please just watch the first video I posted. You'll have a much better understanding of both Mom Donnie and the growing socialist movement in this country that has always been here and gave us the 8-hour workday, the weekend, ended child labor, amongst many other benefits we enjoy today. And all of a sudden, I said, oh, there's no need to apologize. We're in this deeply divided country. And he was like, yes, I need to apologize.
Oh, geez.
But it was so lovely. He was like, of course, there is a need to apologize. We have to be patient with each other for exactly the reason you point out. I wasn't in that moment, and apologizing is a reminder to myself to be the person I want to be, just as much as it is an attempt to repair the minor harm you have already forgiven.
Oh my gosh, how nice.
It was so, I know. And so it went on, and I was like, apology accepted. And I watched his video, and it was great. It's a 17-minute video that I will put in the show notes. It's just about the history of socialism and all the origins and all the things that are great in our society that we've gotten from this. I was so excited because I was like, this is exactly what Jolene and I are trying to do. We are trying to create this community. It's okay to tell us we don't know. We don't know. We're trying. Right. And if you want to share something, great. We're really willing to listen. But it's also like this person was in a moment we had definitely stirred something in him, and he was very upset, and he wanted to tell us, these are the things that I know. And he did say, I didn't notice, but he did say, wake the fuck up. He was mad. He was mad. And I guess when we responded, like, we see you and thank you, it was like, oh my God, okay, wait, there's a human on the other side. Mm-hmm. And how do we talk to each other?
Yep.
So thank you for your candor and your patience and your kindness, because I think that's what we're hoping is going to grow out of this community.
Absolutely, and very well said. But I also think, too, that it's just people's knee-jerk reaction to immediately pounce and immediately be triggered. And I think that's something that we're trying to foster in each other is, okay, let's listen to the other person and go, I didn't know that. That kind of makes sense to me. Instead of, but I think so many people look at the snippets and not really our entire episode, and they react to that snippet instead of truly listening to us.
Right.
They're reacting.
I mean, even the activist snippet it's there to instigate. It's not just us. Like, that's how social media works, to instigate, for you to react, to either delve deeper or lose your mind, whatever. Like,
and that's something else that I've realized, especially when really in the last couple of weeks. Like, I heard from my buddy Mike, who I get to talk to maybe once in a year when I see him when I go back home. He called me. Like, who calls anymore, right? I mean, usually it's a text or something or an email.
Yeah.
Mike calls me and he goes, I'm so fired up after listening to your episode and he goes, I just wanted to let you know I'm behind you and I think this is great and la la la. And then when Jeff's family, both of his brother and his sister are both conservative, and they came in with like guns ablazing, going, okay, loved when you said this. I got so mad at Nicole when she said this, but I know that you like Nicole, and I'm learning to like her too. And then we were with Susie this last weekend, and then Susie's going, okay, she truly is a lovely person. And they're like, okay, yeah, like, yes, I think she is too. And I mean, it's so funny because I feel like conservatives don't comment as much as liberals maybe do.
I wondered that too.
Would you say most of our comments are from
liberals? I mean, people don't say it, but I mean, some comments you can't really tell what is happening, and sometimes you actually there's several times that I'm like, I don't think this is a human being.
Yeah, that's true.
Which is really chilling and totally strange. The fact that we're even in this world where you have to even wonder that.
Yeah.
But I was thinking that today about, I wonder what our listenership is and viewership. Like, is it more conservative or liberal? It feels more liberal, but I'm thrilled to hear that the conservatives might not just be saying anything.
I know. So I wonder if
I wish you guys would, like,
right.
Speak out or write us.
Where are my conservative friends out here? Come on, let us know that you're there.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
It is funny. Oh, in fact, and then it was even like, I got another call from someone else. So yes, it's all of like, okay, go ahead and comment. It's all right.
Yeah.
You don't have to be a closet conservative.
No, please don't, because we're going to be kind to you. That's just like, that's the deal. And it's not revolutionary, but it seems to be quite revolutionary these days. It really does.
Which I think morphs really well into our topic today.
I was just going to say that. Would you like to introduce the topic?
Oh, I would. We have been tasked with interviewing women of our respective parties and to kind of pepper them with questions about what it feels like to be a woman in the Democratic Party or a woman in the Republican Party and, what that means to you. And what I found, because I interviewed two 20-year-old or 20-somethings, a 50-something, and an 80-something. So then it was kind of like, where has this, so for my 80-year-old mother, like where has the Republican Party, what's the transformation that you've seen? And, what is it today versus what it was when you were raising a family? And so it was really fun to kind of get different perspectives and the different ages and what their perspectives are today. And you?
Well, it's funny, Jolene, because I was like, I didn't approach it from a Democrat or Republican lens. I just approached it from being a woman.
A woman. Okay.
And I got a smattering of friends, women in their 50s, women in their 30s, my niece that's 18 and 16, my sister-in-law, but a lot of, I guess I didn't get any people that were older, I'm realizing. But when all these things were coming up every day and we kept having to push this episode, which I found ironic. I'm like, really? We're going to push the women aside? that was, we're pushing them again. We're pushing them again. And so, but in a way, I had a similar experience where it was such a gift to be able to do this episode or to prepare for this episode, to talk to my friends and my sister-in-law and my nieces. In a way, you ask questions that you don't normally ask them. Yeah. And some of the reactions were, I mean, they were all so layered and so interesting. Yeah. So I'm really excited to talk about it. I found some super interesting things that came up. I had a couple women who were in the business space. One of my friends, she has always been in the oil and gas business, and she is our age, and she was sort of a pioneer and sort of went up through the ranks, and she had experiences, and I always saw her, like, she's a powerhouse, but she's this lovely, bubbly human. She was telling me stories that she worked for companies that she was still in this day and age expected to wear skirts. She would walk into a room and people would think she was a secretary, even though she was the director. She was telling me that because it was oil and gas, that she was expected to take her clients to strip clubs. Yeah, which I was like, what? And she was like, and I didn't. And people were furious that I would not please my clients.
Oh my gosh.
Which I was like, whoa. That was one aspect. I have a friend who was a doctor, residency at Stanford, like major, and she'd be in the operating room and people would comment about her body and she was just supposed to laugh it off while she was doing surgery. She also has a child that is transitioning. And so it was very painful for her to have this conversation, which I didn't anticipate that coming up, because it was like, it was so layered in what is choice, what is who you are, what does this mean? I'm like, what do you mean asking me what it's like to be a woman? Like, it was a very fraught experience to even have that conversation for her.
And transitioning from
a girl to a boy.
Okay. And how old is the child?
The person, she is 18.
Okay.
It's quite young. Then I had another friend who's a teacher. She was explaining that unified school districts pay more. And when they are unified, that means that there's a high school attached to it. And that in high school, there's more men teachers than women, which I found fascinating as well. I interviewed a woman who left the Mormon church, and which is its whole thing, and how she was brought up that she was supposed to be very attractive to men, but not too attractive, and was supposed to absolutely believe and do whatever the man said. In this day and age, I guess she left the church in 2019. So, a modern experience. And then my sister-in-law, she's in the corporate world, and she was saying when she was coming up, and she was a powerhouse as well, and, she had to be the cutest, the smartest, all the things, and that there was this golf field trip, and she was part of the finance committee, and she saw this guy putting this list together for the golf tournament, and it was all the men and none of the women. And I was like, what'd you do? And she's like, she thought, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening. She had this experience of like, this happens? I didn't know this happened. It's like, why are they thinking this? And I said, well, what'd you do? And she's like, I caused a stink. We went to that golf tournament. I was like, right on. And then ironically, my eldest niece, which really broke my heart because of course I want things to be totally different now. She was a junior in high school and she was in class and she, I guess, was sitting at this table and she told me, she said, this jock guy who's in my class said, hey, can I sit in your seat? And she said, no, and he didn't say anything and he just stood behind her and waited. And her feeling was, oh my God, this exists. And she just felt him. And she's like, I just felt boy energy. She said, I couldn't believe the audacity that he just stood there and waited. And she said, and I didn't feel like I had a right to say no, so I moved.
Oh.
And I was like, oh, God. So that was, just fascinating things. And one more story that I thought was also totally fascinating. I have this friend who, we used to use the word tomboy. I guess we're not supposed to use that word.
I didn't know that.
Right?
Wait, why?
Well, in liberal media, liberals, they do not use tomboy. And I guess the kids too. Like I've said tomboy and my nieces are like, Auntie Cole, you can't say that. So,
okay.
But I'm saying this right now.
Okay.
And I can't really answer why because I'm old.
Okay. All right.
Okay. So this girlfriend of mine, she was like, I had short hair, and from the time I was 4 or 5 years old, I would dread to go to the bathroom because I was always shamed that the idea, little boy, you're not going into the right bathroom. And she was like, I'm a girl. And then she was incredibly athletic. Like she actually played basketball at the U. She's like major. And she was saying that when she was like a kid, 8, 9 years old, she was in Little League with the boys. And she would strike the boys out and make them cry. And the parents would start screaming and shaming her, like, how old are you? Are you supposed to be in this league? When they knew she was a girl. But they were like not tolerant of the fact that this girl was making the boys look bad. So I thought that was interesting too.
That is interesting. Okay. So let me ask you, listening to all these stories, they were all fantastic stories, but they were all negative experiences of women or being a woman.
I had a wonderful talk with my sister-in-law, and who I just adore. And she was talking about how the older she is, the more empowered she feels, the more confident she feels, the more in her skin she feels. And that was also a overriding. But that partially, Jolene, was probably me asking the questions, because one of the questions I asked was, when was the first time you realized you were a woman? And what did that feel like? So there was always a combination of like the discrimination, and also there was also a lot of like understanding the power we have and knowing when to use it and then when not to use it. And whether it was my niece or someone older, both had a similar, like, sometimes I've had to dumb things down to not intimidate. Yeah. Which I found fascinating that it still exists. Is this correlating to anything that you talked about?
Well, okay, so it's funny because, one of the questions was, what's the most challenging thing about being a woman? And I said a Republican woman. And almost everyone's answer was basically the same, that being a Republican woman means that sometimes it gets misconstrued, that you're not a feminist. And so how do you How do you, are you just being submissive? And like that is the connotation that a lot of people have of being of Republican women, and that it's okay to be pro-choice, or to be pro-life and not be pro-choice. That you can be a woman and be pro-life, and that's okay. So it's kind of funny that is that was kind of a generalization that everybody felt, that, you know, being a Christian and living by Christian values, because all the women that I interviewed were all Christian, that's what being a Republican was for them, and that's not always seen as a positive.
I mean, to be fair, all the women that I'm realizing, they're like raging liberals. They're all raging liberals. All right. So you know, we can go that way, and that makes sense to me, Jolene, that would be a possible contradiction about being a feminist, being pro-woman, and choosing to not be an abortion advocate, or choosing, I don't know. That's probably the main. Is that the main topic, or other topics? I mean,
but it was. I also think like because then and really specifically, Callie, you know, talked about how the pressure. Because one of the questions I asked is do you think being a woman in your whatever age you are is better than being a man? And it was interesting that everyone said yes, except Callie specifically said there's more pressure on being a late 20s, early 30s, 30-year-old woman, because we have to think about career and family. And should we be freezing our eggs, or should we, you know, find a spouse? What if we don't have a spouse? What do we just want a baby? Is that going to be acceptable? How do we work and do that? There's all these. How do we look good? How do we feel good? How do we get enough? How do we get enough sleep? How do we get enough protein? How do we, you know, all those things that men are not concerned with. And so everyone else said that they liked being a woman at their age, and that they said that yes, that they are happier than men, because in the 50-year-old, now you're thinking about retirement, and you've got to make sure that, you know, if you're the breadwinner, now you're, you know, that you're making sure that all of your ducks are in a row. When do you retire? And if you do retire, what do you do? And that women don't have as much of that pressure. And even though my 50-year-old friend makes as much as her husband, I mean, they're both equal, that pressure, that men think about work, women think about everything else. I mean, that's kind of the bottom line, that generalization.
I agree with Callie. I definitely had that experience coming up because I was single for a very long time, and very focused on my career, and wasn't thinking about freezing my eggs or any of that. For me, it was like, I want to find the right partner, that I want to do this because I don't want to do this without the right partner. That was my experience. But it was reminding me that I was talking to my sister-in-law about it, how, because she got divorced and later she married my brother. And I had a similar experience being single for later. You're not totally accepted when you're single or you're divorced. Like, you're not always invited to every single party, or weekends can be strange when your friends get coupled up. Or if I can't speak, I mean, I didn't get divorced, but like in her situation, she had this group of friends and then she was divorced, and then where did she fit? And for me, I got into my late 30s still single, and like weekends would come, it would be like, where is everybody? And then when I met Josh and just like got engaged, like when the word got out, all of a sudden, it didn't matter all the things I had achieved in my career, which at the time I had achieved a lot. I was really proud of myself, and I was really, really happy in my skin and what I'd become, or what I was becoming, still becoming. But all of a sudden, it was like, ding, 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 like, you have been invited into the club, lady. Like,
welcome.
Welcome. It was like, now you're a whole woman, which was sort of like, ew,
gosh. Yeah.
no. What? Wait a minute. I haven't changed. And so that's interesting that Callie said that. And it's also because this is not going to make any sense to your side, your clan. But I come from a line of little ladies. We are little women. And so whether my sister-in-law's little, I'm little. And I was recalling how when you're a small woman, like I remember this guy in high school patting me on the head. I fucking punched him in the stomach.
Gosh.
I was like, don't you dare pat me on the head. That is this feeling of like, you know, like taking up space. Because we're always sort of, you know, even our fashion about like being off balance and being like, how do we take up more space? Like starving ourselves, all of those things that we don't take space, right? God. So Callie, is she feeling that pressure now?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, because she's the last one of her friends to get married. And so, yeah, I think she's, you know, thinking, okay, we're going to have to start having kids right away. And how does that affect my job? And
does she ever think about, does she want it?
Yes. And I think that's, and again, because I only spoke to my kids, I know that this is not a generalization, but my kids want it all. They want a career and they want a family and they want, you know, to have fun and they want money, but they want to be comfortable. They want it all.
Yes. We have a child like that too. And who doesn't? I mean, that sounds lovely. I think
that's healthy. Absolutely. It's healthy until it becomes obsessive and then,
sure.
You know.
That's right.
Hopefully you have the wherewithal to be able to pick and choose and go, well, I want this, but I'm just going to settle for this because this is what I really want. So this is going to have to take a back seat. And maybe someday I'll have it all.
Right. And what does that mean? I mean, even that pressure, because life, as you know, you and I know, is 56-year-old women, it doesn't go to plan. It's up and down and magical and painful and all the things. And I think sometimes the most incredible things happen when you let them.
Right. And when you can pivot, you know,
yes,
and when you can
pivot.
say, okay, well, now we're going to move to Albuquerque, New Mexico. Didn't see that one. And now I'm going to be the church newsletter person.
Right.
I mean,
or
just
like
hypothetically.
Hypothetically. Or with things like I've had many times where like everything's fallen apart at the same time. And every time that's happened, like work, personal life, whatever, for me, it's been that moment of like, okay, I got to pick myself up.
Yeah.
Let's what's going to happen now? Let's do it again. Like, listen, I didn't have a baby, as you know. But I always think about a birth plan and women that like have these birth plans. And I find it really funny because I'm like, I think the body just decides what's going to happen. Yeah. And that birth plans, sure, have a plan, but then get ready because life is going to throw a lot at you. And I think it's that sort of like, you know, structure, and the magic happens in the unexpected and the listening and the being present.
Yep. So from a spiritual perspective, I've always said you got to bloom where you're planted. And like that is, I mean, that is.
I love that.
I mean, okay, so you're here and this is what life has given you. What are you going to do with it? I mean, that is absolutely. Okay, but I love this too, because one of the questions I asked is, what do you think that women do better than men? And everyone said being a leader. They wish that we had more Republican women because they think that Republican women can really look at things from lots of different perspectives, and that they like have a better perspective on things than men do. Better in crisis management.
I would agree with that. And
better in multitasking. That women can hold a baby, get on a Zoom call, have dinner going in the background, and do all the things. So I thought that was really interesting. Did you ask a question like that? Or
when you said the multitaskers, it sort of reminds me of like my single parent friends, whether they're male or female, that they have muscles that we don't always have. They have so much coming at them that they can do all of those things. But I do think women are really good at crisis management for the most part. Mm-hmm. I always find it interesting in a crisis watching what I do, how I react, and how other people react. It's fascinating. Agree. Something else happens in a crisis, and that you just sort of zone in and figure out. There's no time to feel, really. You just got to I got to get to work. I got to do. I got to do this, you know?
Yeah. Women do, and again, I know I'm making a generalization, and all of these comments I know are either from, people that have directly made these comments, or just these are generalization, but I think women are really good at identifying the problem. What's the next step to fix it? What are the other things that are related to that? I mean, I think that we're able to break things down in a way that a man is usually just gung-ho, like, here we go. But let's just go like a bull in a china shop and fix the problem.
That's interesting, because that was something that my eldest niece Tessa was talking about. Was she was saying that even in this day and age, the boys in her class are taught to go for it and expected to get it.
Mm-hmm.
The girls, it's less acceptable to go for it, and it's not a guarantee that you're going to get it. Which I found.
And it's okay if you don't make it.
It's okay if you don't.
Yeah.
Right? She said, like, in this day and age, in her generation, that women can, quote unquote, do anything, but it's usually one woman that actually does it. It's not all of them. And the other thing, when you said the thing about the bloom, can you say the bloom thing again? What was the...
Bloom where you're planted?
Okay. This is what Tessa, my 18-year-old niece, says. Not all ticks carry Lyme disease, but you have to be aware of them.
Tessa, did you make that up?
I don't know, but I was like, yes, you do, honey. Yes, you do. You got to be aware of them.
Okay.
I mean, she's a very lovely, vivacious, hopeful person,
Yes.
but that was really funny to me. But yeah, that idea of like our mothers and the liberation movement brought us up. And so we were sort of like, you can do anything. And we're kind of the first generation is like, can we have it all? Can we do it all? Yeah. And now our daughters, or your daughters, my nieces, they're a little bit like, sorta.
Okay, so that's interesting, because one of the questions I asked everybody was, are you optimistic about the future? The younger ones were like, hell yes, we are ready to go. Like, we feel so good. I know, right?
Thank God.
But they even took a Republican twist on that, though, and said, yes, we think that there is, that we're returning more to family values and conservative economic policies that would help women and entrepreneurs. Like, that was, and actually my 50-year-old said that as well, talked about the entrepreneurs and working moms that becoming...
Can you give me an example of what you mean by that? Because I wouldn't know what that example would be.
Like the returning to economic policies, conservative economic policies would be, if we are to talk about, well, I don't know if this is actually conservative economic values, because it's like spending what you earn. Like you're not going to take a bunch of loans. You're not going to go.
So that's not actually what's really happening in our government right now.
Right. It is a conservative value, but it's not being practiced.
But it's a value, but it's not, got it. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Okay.
And that there's so much help now for entrepreneurs, that, you know, small business administration and all of these private organizations that really are trying to help people that want to work and you know, come up with an idea, and, you know, how do you get that out into the market? The 80-year-old, not optimistic about the future, and not just her future, but I mean, no, like, she can't stand to watch the news because
I mean, I do, when I'm thinking about this too, I have like kind of basically my other mother, and she's not optimistic at all.
Yeah.
Like, very upset by the news.
Yes.
Very upset.
Yep.
So your mom.
In fact, I didn't
mean to interrupt you.
I'll even say that mom, after the Donnie conversation, yes, she said, I really enjoyed that because I didn't know anything about him. And I said, you haven't seen anything about him? And she goes, no, I don't watch the news anymore. I can't stand the news. So that was really educational. Thank you. I really learned a lot. I'm
like, good.
Okay, well, we may be the source of news now from my mom.
Listen, Sally, it's our pleasure.
We'll just tell you what to think. Don't worry.
Right. Well, that's what they all do these days, right?
That's true. Mm-hmm. So I thought it was part of the sentiment is that we're not worried about social issues as much as, let's get back to the things that we need to be concerned about, and let's not be worried about transgender in the military and, blah, blah, blah. Let's worry about things that really do matter. And let's leave those things to other people that need to deal with them and that want to deal with them, and, in your own personal lives. And, let's not leave that up to the government to say you need to have this many people doing this. And
this is what your daughters were saying.
Yes.
Was there any other questions that were interesting that you wanted to share?
One other comment is, since Trump has won, they think that there's more hatred towards Republicans, which I think we would all agree. I mean, yeah. and that people, that was something, that people hate them.
You think so? You think that people
hate Republicans because of Trump?
Well, yeah, I guess you're right. I guess they do.
And not because they've done anything, but just if you have a MAGA hat on, or you've got a Trump bumper sticker, you've automatically, whether you've even, opened your mouth to somebody, that they automatically assume, a Democrat would automatically assume that you're
they feel
idiot.
Threatened.
Yeah.
So does that make them not want to share that they are? Do they find themselves like keeping quiet?
Absolutely.
I mean, this is such old news, but I think that's why the results of the election were so shocking to us liberals. And I honestly, I don't blame a person. Like, there was so much division. I mean, obviously there still is. Yeah. But it's like, if you believed in something and you're like, I'm not going to say anything.
Yeah.
I don't want to get bullied.
Yeah.
That makes sense to me.
Yeah. Okay, what else? What else for you?
These are going to sound negative, but these are a couple of things that was experienced in my friends that are in the corporate world. One of my friends was talking about how she had a boss that would scream constantly. And she always thought if it was a woman, that would never fly. And I don't think this is the same person. That she had an experience where she was new to a company, and her colleague, it was like a small group, and there was a man there. I guess they were all men. And one day she was hungry and wanted someone to go have lunch with her. So she said, "Hey, do you want to have lunch with me to get to know the group?" And he was like, "No, my wife wouldn't like it." And her reaction was like, "Hold on a second. Why are you making me feel like I did something wrong? I just want a sandwich." And then I've heard that since. It seems so crazy. Like, do your daughters go through any of that stuff in their world?
Well,
or maybe you're not allowed to say, I don't know.
No, I think, you look at Callie, who worked in college football.
Yeah.
So, she was surrounded by men. So, but, she dealt with, people who made, off-colored comments, or, their intentions may have been something else if she would have, allowed that to open that door. So, I think that's, but I think
and I would
that's
imagine
common.
You did too. You did too
Yes.
when you were in sales and stuff, right?
I think that is still just a thing for women that women have to deal with.
Do you think it's gotten worse since the Trump era?
I was going to say
bravado.
No, I think it's
Or it's always been that way.
I think it's gotten better. I think it used to be. I think it's gotten better because, I think it was so commonplace where men ruled the world, and if women dared to come into their space, that you had men who wanted to put them in their place, or let them have a control issue or whatever.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's that way as much anymore. I think because it's so common to have women in the workplace now, or in, wherever.
Yeah. Interesting. I guess I just wish, like, I don't want your daughters or my nieces, or I just want it to be better. Just better.
I truly think it is.
I hope so, because, and again, I will give Trump a little bit of credit here.
Oh my gosh!
That
Drum roll.
that I think he has not been tweeting the crazy that he did so much, and that really that instant. Oh my God! Oh, this is a totally separate subject. I saw an amazing interview with him on BBC yesterday. I say that because he was so like calm and tempered, and I appreciated that. Mm-hmm. I'm going to give him a win here. I appreciated that. And so when he has been coming up and been like spewing hate and that kind of thing, I worry that like it just creates a culture of hate for women in general. Now, I will say that like if I try to sit down and watch a John Hughes movie with my nieces, thinking, oh, it was so cool, and like whether it's Pretty in Pink or 16 Candles, and then you look at it and you're like, holy shit, this is so sexist, this is so racist, this is so, that then I can say, oh yeah, it is better now.
Yeah.
You know? Because the things that happen that in terms of women, that would never fly in a movie now. Ever. I do want to say that I just want to thank my friends and my sister-in-law and my nieces for sharing your stories with me. It's been a privilege, and I've learned so much, and I really appreciate that you talked to me so that I could share this with everybody.
Oh, that's so nice. Yeah, thanks to my people too.
Do you have a would you rather?
I do. Do you?
I do. This is because we are doing the woman episode.
Okay.
Not that this is what women represent, by the way. Let me just say this. I just thought it was funny. I really just thought it was funny. Okay.
Okay.
Would you rather have a child every year for 20 years or never have any children at all?
Oh, crap.
I know. I knew that would be hard for you.
Oh.
20 children. Can you imagine the physical toll?
I mean, I couldn't drink for 20 years. Oh. I couldn't wear a swimsuit in 20 years. Okay, but I also can't imagine not having children. So I guess if those are my choices, I'm going to have 20 of them. Let's go. Let's get it on.
Well, your house could probably, in a pinch, house 20 kids.
Oh my gosh, 20 kids.
20 kids. Can you imagine?
I don't know. Maybe I could be a foster mom.
There you go.
So maybe I don't have it. Okay. Nope. I'm rethinking my answer.
But I don't know if that qualifies. I don't think you can have any children.
Oh, okay.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm gonna have damn 20 kids.
I mean, listen, you're an amazing mom.
Oh,
that's really
such a sweet thing. That is a sweet thing to say.
It's the more I've all through the years, and I've gotten to know you, and I feel like we've become closer in the last couple of years, and watched these young women. Speaking of women, that you have raised.
Oh, that's so sweet. Thank you. Oh, look at you getting all emotional.
I just, you've raised some good people, some good women.
Oh, thank you.
To carry on. And it's okay that they're Republican.
You can still try to change them.
Maybe they'll come over to the other side. But yeah, I really marvel at how wonderful a mother you are, a parent you are.
Thank you. But I also think, I have a fantastic mother, and I have.
Yes, you do.
I know, and I think
even though she has no hope for our future,
she thinks we're all going to hell in a handbasket. But no, I think I've had strong women in my life too, and I think that when you've got. My sister is a good person. I think when you've got those women around you,
I agree
that, it makes you better. 100%.
I agree.
So,
I agree.
Would you rather be an herbivore or a carnivore?
Well, I have been an herbivore.
I know.
And then I saw the light. Listen, it just works better for my system. My doctors are like, you need to eat red meat. And yeah, I think now that I've come back to the
dark
side, I'm not going back. I'm a carnivore.
Okay, but you can't have any vegetables or fruit. You can only have meat.
Oh, then you'd get like the meat sweats.
Yeah.
Oof.
Right.
Oof. I don't know.
I know.
I love vegetables and fruit. I especially love vegetables. This is weighing heavy.
I know.
Because I need the protein. But I think if I was a smart herbivore, I could still get the protein. Mm-hmm. So now you're changing my mind, and I'm going herbivore. I'm getting rid of, because the meat sweats.
Oh, could you imagine just having meat?
No, I can't, because the boys in my life love meat, and when there's too much meat, it just. Also, because I was an herbivore for a very long time, sometimes it really grosses me out. Like, I don't really love cooking it, and I do feel better having it, but not all the time. And oof,
I know.
Me and my menopause body. No, thank you. Sweaty.
Oh, God. This was good. I love that we did something that wasn't so political, that it was really celebrating women. And
I
whether
agree.
you are a Democrat woman or a Republican woman or an independent woman, or you don't know what you are, I think this was really good.
That's okay.
That we have so much to be proud of, and we've done so much work that it's fun to talk about being a woman.
Yes, and thank you for the women before us that gave us the freedoms and the liberties that we now have. We really thank you for that. Please like, subscribe, and follow wherever you get your podcasts. And
bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye, Joe. We'll see you on the side.
We've Got to Talk is produced across the world by the wildly talented, creative, and hilarious team at Bambi Media. Our theme song is Jump Jive Swing by Space Train Unlimited. Thank you so much for listening, and join us every week for another episode of We've Got to Talk.